Cogent is an employee benefits advisory firm. I started Cogent because I realized that there was an epic problem in the employee benefits space from the standpoint that it's the second or third largest expense for any business, regardless of where they're at, regardless of the industry that they're in. And it's currently just a transactional expense for them. And the impact of it is absolutely huge because people talk about having great employee benefits to hire, retain, attract talent. But yet when it comes time to purchase or that annual renewal, it's incredibly deflating. And it's all about what was my increase or how much is it going to cost? And then how much are we going to push down to our employees? And it's an absolutely negative thing when really our purpose, as a company, you want to have this because it's something, I want to take care of my employees is what we always say. But that's not really what happens. And so in my head, I kind of scratched my head and think like, well, why is it that done this way? And to me, I see it as an epic problem. And the epic problem, obviously, how I would define even what an epic problem is one that you can't just write a check and make it go away, right? And then secondly is you have to think and work collaboratively with a team to solve it. And you then have to also think strategically and implement tactically. And you have to do these things, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to follow things in a certain way. And when you follow a certain process, you can then at that point solve an epic problem. So, as the hamster on the wheel in my brain, I'm just thinking like, how do I help? How can I help contribute in a boring traditional model that's broken and continuing to get worse, continuing to get more expensive? And that's when I came up with what if we were an employee benefits firm that totally changed the game and took the entire industry and turned it on its head? And what if we did that? And how would we take this epic problem and solve it? And so in doing so, my purpose is, what if I could help create enterprise value for businesses on their second to third largest expense? And so when I apply Discover, Design, Implement, Manage, right, the Cogent way, the first step is I want to understand about that organization. And I think the best way to do that, which is where the first step in the traditional employee benefits model is, most agents or reps or together show up and throw up, and they are all about fancy PowerPoints and telling you all the amazing things that they did in their team, when really most of them are not great listeners. So first and foremost, I wanted in that discovery is I need to listen, and I listen by asking great questions. And I want to really understand how that organization functions. And when I understand how they function and how they operate, I can then at that point be thinking in my mind, what's that second step of discovery? And so, or second step is design. So when I look at the design part, how am I going to take the epic problems and the issues that company has, because they're all different. Every company is totally different. Not one of them is the same. And because they're all made up of different people. And so how do I take that now with the tools that are in my tool chest for Cogent and our team, and how do we then begin to design something that can help them solve that epic problem, right? How do we begin to figure out how can we help them improve their current and future enterprise value? And again, that first and foremost has to happen by, we have to ask questions first. We have to actively listen. And then we have to go back as a team and then put together and design something that would enable an organization to go to that next level. And so the third step is from an implementation perspective, right? So now what I'll do is sit down with the executive team. My team will sit down with their executive team and talk about, okay, this is what we heard you say. We heard you say that this is what's going on in your organization. Mind you, not just from an employee benefits, right? So how you want to design your employee benefits program is not complicated. That's quite easy, in fact. So not the tactical piece, but we want to understand strategically how you function, how you operate. So we heard you tell us the following things. We heard you tell us what is not working or what could be improved upon. And so now we took what we heard you say, and now we have applied that to some strategic and tactical tools that we have that we'd like you to review. And so we would provide for people over the next 12 months the objectives that we would like to work on together. And so we'll then put that in front of them and have that discussion and talk to them collaboratively and say, okay, which of these things, let's rank these things as first, second, third, and then we're going to take and break those down into a quarterly basis and provide them with objectives that we're going to look at every quarter. And once we've broken that down, then now we have a mutually agreed plan of action that we're going to take with each of our clients. And we'll follow the same process, but what we tackle will be different because every company is different. So once we move in after the implementation phase, and we have defined the objectives, now it's management of it, right? So now it's doing what we say, and now it's executing. And so how we'll do that is we'll provide quarterly report cards to each of our clients a couple of weeks before the end of every quarter and say to them, how are we doing in these objectives? Are we doing good? Are we doing bad? Rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. That's important for us to get an idea of we need to be held accountable for what we said we were going to do. And if we're truly going to help improve an organization's enterprise value, we have to measure it somehow. So that's how we'll measure it internally. What is that people can expect by working with Cogent Advisors? It's the improved enterprise value. Second would be a stronger culture within inside their own organization. A third element would be clarity at all levels of the organization of where that company is and where they're going. And I think, the fourth thing is really to have greater fun, greater joy, greater happiness. I think that those things are really important, and we don't really talk about those in corporate America as much as we should. We're all made up of human beings, and we need to have greater fun. We need to have greater joy. We need to have greater happiness in our lives because we can actually lead a better organization because of that. And so at the very end, so the fifth thing I would say what companies are going to experience is I call it, are they going to reach MS3 status, right? Internally and externally. So let me explain what MS3 means. You're probably like, what is MS3? Magnetic, sticky, scalable, sustainable, right? So internally and externally. Internally, are they magnetic to the ideal team players that they want to attract? I think Patrick Lenzino does an amazing job in his book, Ideal Team Players, right? So is the organization magnetic to ideal team players to help them continually improve the enterprise value of that company? And also, are they magnetic externally to the target and ideal customers that they want to serve? Next is sticky. So again, are they sticky internally where people want to stay? Right? Have we reduced the turnover in the organization? And then externally, have we reduced the turnover of clients? Are we enabling them to not only want to stay, but refer other people to work with them? And then the third piece is scalable. We want to put things in place that isn't just a one-hit wonder, but to make sure that that organization can scale in a way that aligns with their team at the pace that that team currently in place can go. And then lastly, it's sustainable. If you can't maintain sustainable results, you can't maintain long-term enterprise value. And so it's really important that that's what we do. And so again, it's why we do it is to help improve current and future enterprise value. It's to walk people. How we do that is through our process of discover, design, implement, manage. And then lastly, what are people going to experience? And most importantly, it's helping them experience an improved enterprise value and a stronger culture and making sure that they're magnetic, sticky, scalable, sustainable. One of the things that's important is we'd like to talk to you. And if you're watching this video, thank you for taking the time to watch it. But I'd like the opportunity to sit down with you and to discover the possibilities, what could happen when we as organizations are driven together. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes to listen to what I had to share, and hopefully we'll be able to connect soon.